Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall, where we throw ideas, see what sticks, and nurture those that do. I'm your host, Armando, an actor, entrepreneur, and coach, giving you insights that light up your world. We're here to explore the realms of business, marketing, and life, serving up a shot of inspiration with every episode. Ready to make ideas stick and grow them into something great? Let's dive in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you're consuming this podcast. Spaghetti on the Wall, back with another one. Brian McRae is in the house. How are you?
I'm doing well, Armando. And it's good to see you.
Good to see you. I always turn on my radio voice. I was an MC on Bourbon Street for a while. And so, sometimes I have to good morning. This is what.
Well, I was going to say that was as professional as it gets. That was as naturally professional as it gets right there.
Yeah, I've said it a lot of times. So Brian is a relationship strategist, coach, and partner with Giftology and the R.I.C.H Relationship Society. For more than a decade, he has helped relationship-driven professionals, financial advisors, loan officers, and business leaders turn generosity and intentional connection into their greatest business advantage. And so we had the pleasure of meeting on a Giftology talk that I did for the group. Read the book years ago, love the concept. I use it often, and it was just a really good fit. And I met Brian. I was like, man, come on the podcast. Really want to start talking about, Giftology and how you're giving back and all of that methodology and psychology. But before we get into all of that, I was getting your story beforehand. And I was like, time out. Let's just
time out. Yeah, you hit the pause button real quick. You've done this before, Armando.
So let's do that. So let's bring that into the conversation, because I really was liking what you were saying. So give me the backstory on how you got where you got.
Well, I think our common connection here is John Rulin and Giftology and the team and the kind of the mission behind that. But and I think we were talking about how we got connected to John and Giftology. And so I was starting to share the story. So my background, I've been in the mortgage industry for about 25 years. And the truth of the matter is, when I got into that business, I liked the ability. I got into it because I was looking for freedom of time and money. And it's a commission-based position. And you had control over your schedule. So like many entrepreneurs, and I knew I wanted to build my business through relationships. So anyway, but I always really had a problem driving down the street, listening to the radio, or, at the time, jumping online, and you always see these ads and how the marketing industry markets itself. And it's just marketed to its lowest common denominator. So anyway, tying all that together, I had a successful run as a mortgage loan officer, building it through relationships, building strategic partnerships. And in 2010, I'm sitting at my kitchen counter, Armando, and I'm, interestingly enough, I was starting to take the next steps in a faith walk. And I just remember hearing some words, and I don't say these lightly, and it's not like I've got some amazing gifts, but I heard these words inspire people. That led to me talking to a guy who encouraged me to start an event. And I started an event as a mortgage professional, talking about relationships and how to build relationships to increase referrals. I was sharing things that I had learned in doing what I was doing and having success in the mortgage space. But if you go back to 2011, financial services and real estate were in the tank. And so many of your listeners may not remember that time, but just think home values had been cut in half. 401ks were 201ks, and financial services and real estate agents were struggling. So I pulled everybody together and we started talking about how to build a referral-based business. We had about 15 people show up at that first event, and quickly it grew to a couple hundred people a month showing up to an event. That ties into just people, a community coming around that liked the event, some supporters, relationships. And one guy named Nick Najar said, you need to meet my buddy named John. John's writing a book. He's crushing it. He's talking about relationships. And so John and I knew each other for several years, but finally we were able to convince him to come speak. We both were living in the same area, St. Louis at the time. And so John came over, he spoke at the event, did an amazing job. Somehow we convinced him. I didn't have to pay the $50,000 keynote and that was all relationship based. And I was really blessed by that. And he did it as a favor for both Nick and I. And he just blew it away with, the concepts of giftology. But during that process, I met some of John's key people, Mike Monroe being one of them. And Mike reached out to me a couple of years later during COVID and said, man, you've done some really cool stuff with the event and some of the training that you've put on. And we'd like to, he said, and this is just Mike Monroe style. He said, would you be interested in doing something with us? Because your content is really good, but your marketing stinks. And our gifting course isn't what we'd like it to be. And we'd like to teach people how to do relationships, and our marketing's pretty good. So there seems to be a match. That was the birth of really the first steps. And so John, Mike, and I started getting together, and we just started reimagining what a community of givers would look like. And so we started building out this operating system that led to Rich Relationship Society, which is where you spoke in teaching people how to build relationships. So anyway, so that's a long answer to a short question.
That's awesome, man. And so when was Rich Relationship Society built?
So we started in 2022 with kind of the brainchild behind it. And then we launched officially last November. So we had the course launched, but we did an official launch. John tragically passed away a little over a year ago. And then about 60 days afterwards, we launched the course and then started launching the community around it. And it's been amazing. So
talk to me about the methodology behind it.
The methodology behind Rich Relationship Society?
Yeah.
Well, Armando, if you stand in front of, so I'll just give you a quick story. I was standing in front of a room. There's a couple of hundred small business owners, commission sales professionals in this room that I was running that monthly event in. And I'd ask everybody, how many of you like referrals? How many of you want more referrals? And, hands would go up. But then you say, all right, how many of you like asking referrals? Hands go down. How many of you have a system for referrals? Hands stayed down. That's what we do, is we give people an authentic way to build a referral-based business without the awkward ask, without the nagging, the bragging. And it's just, nobody likes doing that. And everybody's taught how to do that or what to do, but we focus on the relationship side of it and giving people an operating system that allows them to collect their relationships, organize them in a way that will serve them well, prioritize them based off of the probability, the performance, and potential of the relationship. And then we teach them some simple strategies on how to love on people as often as you can, through whether it's gifting or candidly, just some simple demonstrations of value that are just tied into your time, talent, and treasure. So that's what we do. We give people a relational operating system so that they can build, grow, and scale relationships to get the referrals that they need in their business.
Yeah. I love it. I like to call it holding mass, the Mutual Admiration Society. It really is that point. So talk to me about how important it is to have a system, right? Because I think a lot of times entrepreneurs, people in general, they're going to come across a way to want to do something, right? They want to get referrals, but because they don't have a strategy, they're bumping into all kinds of obstacles, and then that just throws them off, and they're like, yeah, well, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Well, and that's the thing. Candidly, relationships take time. And, there's the adage, don't ask how long it'll take, ask how long it'll last if you do it. And that's what relationships happen. If you can build that strategy, having a system, I think James Clear said, we don't rise to the level of our goals. I mean, every entrepreneur has amazing goals, but what ends up happening from a marketing standpoint, if you don't have relationships, you fall to the level of your systems. And if you don't have a good system for relationships, you just constantly spinning for what's next. And you just end up feeling candidly scattered and splattered. You're just trying to figure it out, and you just keep going from thing to thing. So a system really helps you get a focus that you can deliver with consistency to make sure that you are loving on the right people at the right times so that you stay top of mind. And it's just, it is one of the pinnacle systems that you have to be successful if you want really. Yeah.
What's the limiting belief people have about their product and service that is stopping them from asking for referrals? Or maybe they feel like it's a nuisance to ask.
Well, no, look, Armando, I'm a guy, I don't like asking for referrals. I just don't. And so everything that I've done is all about earning the right to have referral conversations. Yeah. And that happens through relationships. You don't have to have a relationship to ask for a referral. but you typically have to have a relationship to get referrals. So most sales training, in my opinion, and there's a lot of great trainers out there, don't get me wrong, and they teach you how to ask, but that's really a sales question. That's not a marketing question. And relationships at the truest sense is a marketing strategy, not a sales strategy.
Mhm.
And so I think the thing that I see most is, what's the false belief that they have? They feel like they've got to go out and market their core competence to the world. And they go out. Now, by the way, I'm from the mortgage industry, at financial advisors, estate planning attorneys. I work with mostly financially oriented professions. And they feel like they got to go out and talk about their core competence, about how good they are. One, because they're either lacking confidence or they don't know what else to talk about. And it just leads them to people not wanting to have a deeper connection or relationship. It becomes transactional.
Yeah.
And there's really three types of loyalty that, at least that we've seen. There's transactional loyalty, there is habitual loyalty, and then there's emotional loyalty. And emotional loyalty is those relationships that would run through a brick wall to support you. That's candidly, you jumping on the podcast and are on the Rich Relationship Society call was amazing. Thank you. I mean, our team wants to run through a brick. What can we do to help Armando? Because that's where emotional loyalty is built, is over time. So anyway, I just say that most people, I think, feel like they have to promote themselves and their product and their core competence like they're the best at what they do. And so they just go out and they market a product or a service versus seeking relationships.
Hallelujah. And as AI and social media and the phone becomes more prevalent, I think the need and the benefits of creating relationships and truly like connecting one-on-one, is why I love podcasting, right? Is when you get to talk to somebody on a call where it's like, okay, we're both trying to add value. And I love the podcast as the vehicle too, because like we could have this conversation, me and you, offline, and it's gonna be different than if we're like we're being watched right now, right? And we will continue to be watched on like Spotify, Apple Music. People are gonna listen to it. What happens to me and what happens to you is that I have to show up in a different way when I'm being on camera, right? Meaning I want to show up to be the best version of myself so that I can give you the platform in which you can be the best version of yourself, which is amazing. And so we're creating this thing together at the same time, improvised, where we're getting to share our experiences and all of that stuff, and connecting on a whole nother level that we would have had we just done this. And we could, and we probably will, connect on.
Absolutely.
But it's just, it heightens everything a little bit when we're putting ourselves on display.
Well, you probably heard the term enlightened self-interest. Candidly, when you're going to show up, and by the way, thank you for the invite here. I'm humbled and honored. Thank you so much. Yeah. But you want to make sure you show up well. And I think and candidly, if I would have said, I want to come on here and talk about amortization schedules or pre-qualifications, the answer would have been no. There's no relationship around my core competence.
Right.
There's just no attraction to that. Limited attraction. If you were in the house for in the market for a new home, maybe, but that's not what the purpose of this is. So I think when we can, I love that, what you just said, and being here, and the fact that you have absolutely mastered the idea of one-to-one conversations, recording them via a podcast, and then sharing them out there with just authentic and intentional content, I think is brilliant.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I like to say I'm preaching to the preacher. I'm preaching.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
Well, I mean, because you're in that space too, right? Like I think, I love the Go-Giver and Giftology and, and that like the Go-Giver, what a great book, because it was just a constant reminder of this guy trying and trying and trying.
Exactly.
You're missing it. And the moment he just was like, all right, let me just give without the expectation. Let me connect without any expectation. Let me just do that. And immediately things just start popping.
Armando, you've seen it with the podcast. And I mentioned the event that I ran. I ran that event for 12 years, once a month. It was free to attend. And we didn't talk about mortgages. And so when you can give without any expectation of return, man, it just, and you can figure out how to do it in a scalable way that doesn't, when you can add more value in less time, which is what you're doing here.
Yeah.
You have, I love it. So
tell me about, and I got a question here. You say relationships are the ultimate business growth strategy. What is the biggest mistake professionals make when trying to scale trust?
when trying to scale trust, well, first of all, they look at it like they only can do it. And if you take a look at the way we've built the Rich Relationships Society and the Giftology solution, if you take a look at it, the biggest thing is that they, first of all, they don't keep a list. They don't keep a track of people. They forget who to talk to. They don't know how to organize. They don't know how to prioritize. They don't know how to have relational conversations that produce the trust. And they're going down the transactional conversation route. That's number one. But number two, they don't put the system in place. And number two, they don't stay consistent with it. And even if they do that, if they want to scale relationships and the trust, they've got to learn ways to be in multiple places at once. And that's what Giftology has done. And that's what John Ruhlin did. That's what he mastered. Number one, he cared about people, but he also used strategic gifting in a way that allowed him to be in 100 places at once and to be, and his true and authentic care for someone else being delivered in a heart bomb that showed up at somebody's place through some gift that was personalized to them. And he just was able to open doors in ways that, and help companies open doors to relationships and love on people in ways that their competitors weren't.
Yeah, let's get into, and I love Giftology, right? So let's get into that, and the gifting strategy itself and how that's sort of put together in a workflow. How does that work? How are you implementing, which is more importantly, like, do they have a done for you system? Is it done with you
Yeah.
system?
Well, if you don't mind, Armando, one of the things that we're really excited about, so we've launched the community. Inside the community, so Rich Relationship Society, which, by the way, as your listeners and viewers, I want to make sure rich isn't the sense of a selfish richness. It's a selfless richness. And it's an acronym. If you see the logo, it stands for reciprocal, influential, connected, and humble. And that is what John Ruhlin was, and that's who he attracted. And what we're trying to do is share that philosophy with the members and the clients of Rich Relationship Society. So inside of Rich Relationship Society, there's a course, there's a community of other like-minded professionals. Because as you know, being a small business professional is a lonely proposition at times. And then so the other component that we put in there is coaching. So we've got a coaching component inside the community. And then we're working on something pretty exciting coming up that's going to help people draw this together. I can't really announce it yet, but it's coming. But we've got those components currently inside the community. And then the Giftology solution, that's kind of the referral operating system, is the baseline inside the Rich Relationship Society. So that's kind of gives them the referral operating system. And then if they want to start to scale that, then that's where Giftology's additional solutions. So there is a done with you solution where they basically will take a look and they'll consult with a company, and a giftologist will say, okay, what relationships do you want to love on? And they'll help them create a gifting strategy. And then if they want execution of that strategy, they can hire Giftology to actually deliver the gift. So it's kind of a three-pronged solution in terms of what Giftology is bringing to the table. They're bringing the operating system. Then they're bringing if people want to scale and utilize gifting, they can do basically a done with you and for you system. And then they can actually engage Giftology with actually delivering of the gifts.
Can you tell me a story of somebody that you guys have helped and what their transformation was like as a result of working with you guys?
Well, I can tell you one myself. This was before John and I actually partnered. Some of my coaching clients were attending the event that I mentioned to you earlier. Again, once a month, free of charge. I had some coaching clients that were involved in that event, and they saw John speak, and they they decided that they wanted to get a gift for me. I got to experience giftology before I was, I came from a regulated industry. So gifting wasn't something that I could in the mortgage space. But as I built the coaching practice, that's where I started implementing it. But I actually experienced it beforehand. So these coaching clients reached out to John and his team and said, we want to do something special for Brian. They put together, I don't know if you've seen the artifact mug.
Yeah.
Armando, I will tell you, I got a package that showed up on my door. I open it up. It's a 12 by 12, maybe 18 by 18 box. Open it up. Inside is a beautiful wooden box. I lift open this box, and there is a black and white video that's coming across the screen telling me about the impact that I've had on the lives of my wife, my daughters, and the coaching clients, all wrapped up in this customized mug. And as the guy's telling me all these little stories that everybody's poured in to help him create this mug, I've got a personalized mug with all of those stories on it. And it was amazing. And so I got to experience what generosity looked like before I was actually a part of Giftology in this rich relationship society. So the point is, here I am talking about I started talking about Giftology, and I can't tell you how many times I have shared that story of that mug, and what that meant to me. And so the impact, it's opened up a number of different relationships for me personally, just sharing something that I got from Giftology. So that's just one example, but there is story after story of doors that have been opened. And candidly, the coaching clients, you bend over backwards to help them, because they all just, they did something they didn't have to do for me. So
yeah, Brian, I love that. If people want to join the Rich Society, how do they do that?
Yeah, it's giftology.com, or I can absolutely make a connection. And that's easy. I'll get you the link to that, but it's just check out Giftology Rich Relationship Society. And then Sarah is, which you've met Sarah. Sarah's amazing. She walks through everybody. You can schedule a call with Sarah, and she will absolutely positively walk you through every step and answer every question.
Yeah, it's great. I still got I got some sort of quick fire questions for you.
Yeah.
Can you share the relationship snowball idea, how gratitude and generosity can turn into compounding referrals?
Yeah. Well, gifting is one of those. So I think every business needs a snowball. For you, it's a podcast. This is all relationally driven, and you're using this as a snowball. There are other opportunities that will spin off of this from people that listen to it, or in terms of the relationship that you and I form, because that's candidly one of the things I want to know is, what can I do to help you? That's the conversation that we're going to have, and that we've had. And so that's one. You've got a podcast. John was doing gifting. There's other things that we're working on from an event standpoint to help people. I was a big event guy at a local community-based, event. I think can absolutely, the Mastermind Project, what it did for my career, everybody needs something that creates, that compounds as it moves. For you, again, podcast. For John, it was gifting. I love that one. Obviously, and then inside of Giftology, inside Rich Relationship Society, we're working to help people. They want to launch events around the Giftology philosophy in their community, that they can do that so that they can attract people, help them build their business. And when you do that selflessly, any one of those three is an amazing thing. And it creates a snowball of reciprocity, because you're providing value to people outside of your core competence.
I love it. You've hosted events and podcasts for years. Have you done podcasts?
You and I have a podcast. It is a recording of the monthly event that I was doing.
Gotcha. So what's the smartest way for someone to use guesting as a relationship flywheel instead of chasing downloads?
Using guesting. Well, first of all, it's easier. If you make building a relationship with influential people and they invite you in, or you're honored to be a guest, and that's an amazing strategy. And so some amazing opportunities been for me. Being on podcast has been unbelievably, it's opened up so many doors. So
yeah. Which, let's talk offline, because I've got some podcasts I want to bring you on. I think you're really going to like. You're building a Giftology Certified Implementer pathway. modeled after EOS. What does that look like, and why do you think leaders are craving it right now?
Well, we are focused in right now. So again, we were launching Rich Relationship Society, which was a bigger strategy for Giftology than just another course, another community. We're really trying to transform. We believe, I think there was a study done by John Jantz. Small business owners, 80% of small business owners said that at least 50% of their business was coming from referrals.
Mm-hmm.
But then he asked the same business owners, what percentage of you have a system for creating referrals? And it was like less than 65% had some sort of system. We're trying to be that solution. We're trying to give people an operating system, just like EOS gave small business owners an operating system as an entrepreneur. We want to give relationally driven leaders an operating system and a strategy and a platform to build their business through referrals. So the concept here, EOS did it with one model. And we've looked at that and said, why couldn't we do that with relationships? So I kind of mentioned earlier, we've got a 3-pronged solution for that. You've got the community, or, we've got Rich Relationship. So it is a course, it is a community, it's got content, it's got coaching, and there's going to be another component that's going to be added to that I can't unveil. I don't have permission to do that yet, but it's going to tie everything together for individuals in a technology-based way. And so there's that solution. There's the Rich Relationship, then there's the gifting solution, and then there's also the delivery of the gifts. You might be asking, so we believe that there's business coaches out there that could add this service, add this solution, because when they're working with small business owners and coaches that are working with business owners, there's some great ways to market. But if individuals want to go down the path of relationships, Giftology is the #1 relationship agency in the world. And we want to provide solutions to help people do that. So we believe this Giftology Certified Implementer, which is a name under construction right now, but we're literally going through a beta right now. And so business coaches that want to have a conversation around that would like that plug-in that they could offer to their coaching clients or consulting clients would be amazing. So we think we've got a real niche for that.
Love that. And if you were relaunching your own podcast today, how would you structure it to open doors, deepen relationships, and create impact?
Man, I would bring people in and I would talk to them about how they're building relationships, what's been working from a relationship standpoint. I would not let them talk about their core competence at all, just how they're building relationships in their business, what strategies, and I would focus solely on that. That's it.
I love that so much. Brian, thanks so much for being on. We'll connect, obviously. If you guys are looking for a gifting strategy, if you guys are looking for a community of amazing people, I've met them, amazing. I say that, I don't say that lightly. I know people say amazing a lot, but it truly is. And I'm 100% on board. I love the giving. I think it makes it a better life to just operate, right? Like it's the journey of life that is the point. Everybody's looking for the end result. And I'm like, what about all of the stuff in between? I will tell you, if you haven't read the book, Live 1,000 Years by Giovanni Libera, I highly recommend this book. It was given to me when a friend of mine passed away. And I'll give you a little bit about.
Please do. I want to hear this.
What it is. But this guy is New York business person, and he's just running 120 miles an hour, and he's late to a lunch. And he bumps into this old man, and the old man is like, "You'll be back." And he's like, "Whatever, dude." And heads to this diner, and at noon, like everything stops, right? He's the only person that can move around. Everybody's just frozen in time. And he walks out into New York, and everybody's just frozen into time, but he's hearing these clocks, bing, bing, bing. And he follows the sound, and he goes to this clock store, and he sees this old man, and this old man is Father Time, and he has stopped time to teach this guy a lesson. And as he goes through each lesson, it's kind of like Christmas Carol and things like that. It's that sort of vibe. But every time he learns a lesson, he gets an hour back on the clock. And one of the things the biggest takeaways of the book, where he was talking about his grandfather, the old man takes him to the grave, And he says, this is your grandfather. He was born this time and this time. What do you notice most about the tombstone? He's like, well, I guess the day he died. And he was like, no, there's a little dash between his birthday and the day he died. And this dash is what life is all about, right? And everybody forgets that, you know? And it was like amazing, right? And he was like, your grandfather lived 1,000 years. And he's like, no, he didn't. He lived this, you know, 80 years, whatever. He's like, no, the things that he did in his life equaled, you know, 1,000 years of living, right? And I was like,
wow,
amazing book, right? Amazing book. But it really talks about that, the journey that we're on, and are we enjoying the journey? Are we cognizant of the journey? Because it's just going and going, and we're just not cognizant of it. And when we slow down enough to take opportunities to do gifting and to connect and to do, like, that is the point. That is the point. Like, that's what the point is, right? Like, who cares about what you do, right? Are we creating impact? Are we connecting with the people on the road to success? You know,
amen.
Yeah. Did you see Gino Wickman's Shine book? Did you read it?
I have not.
So he just wrote it, right? And it is really like this, you know, the book about how people, when they get to the peak of the mountain and they go into the room that's supposed to be filled with congratulations and all of this adoration and the stuff, and he just realizes that inside is just a vending machine, right? And it's just like, this is what I've been chasing. This is the end, you know. And it's, you know, empty vending machine, quiet, nothing, right? And he's like, how are we shedding all of the things that are stopping us from enjoying the life that we want to create on the way to wherever it is that we want to go, right? Which I think is, you know, just also amazing transformational book.
No, thank you. So I got two book recommendations. That's awesome. So
yeah,
I love that.
1,000 Years great because it's written like it's a story. You know,
yep.
I've had a conversation with him several times. I'm like, do you need to make this a movie? Like, this needs to be a film. So I need to reach back out to him so he can pull the trigger on that.
Thank you. I just sorry, I was taking notes and
no worries.
Down.
I was doing the same. I was like, oh, I gotta make sure I do that. But Brian, thanks so much for being on. Love these conversations always, obviously. You know,
Armando, this was a blessing. Thank you so much for the time, and I'm looking forward to connecting outside of this. So
yeah, 100%. And that was Spaghetti on the Wall, brought to you by Leduc Entertainment for all of your production needs, podcasts, social media. If you need video, we got you. Keep listening, keep watching, and we'll see y'all next time.